You dumped a porn star? Friendship over. Friendship over!
Are you a gun enthusiast? Love to shop for guns? We're also looking for friendly service. Well, you're in luck. Here in St. Augustine, Top Gun Supply is the friendly gun shop. Staff is very knowledgeable, happy to see you when you walk through the door, and can assist you with all your gun shopping needs. Top Gun Supply stocks a wide range of firearms, such as Ruger, Beretta, 6 Hour, HK, and LWRC. So stop on by at Top Gun Supply at 525 State Road 16 in St. Augustine. Top Gun Supply here in St. Augustine, the friendly gun shop, a proud sponsor of the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks Drive Time Armchair Quarterback Show on Facebook Live, and make sure to tap that app, the Armchair Quarterbacks app. Google Android, Apple iPhone, good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
Hey, sports fans, football season is here, and it's time to get in on the action. MyBookie.ag has more odds and props than anyone else in the industry. Using MyBookie is simple. Just pick your team, select your odds, and collect your cash. MyBookie.ag has proven to be the most exciting online experience for all sports fans. With the fastest payouts in the industry, there's no other choice than MyBookie.ag. Get in on the action today. Visit MyBookie.ag today.
Make sure to keep it locked in here on Armchair Quarterback Radio. We're not one-trick ponies. We cover the entire NFL, past and present.
3rd down and 6 at the 9. And Bo Jackson to the 20 and out in front. And only one man to beat, and Easley can't run him down. He had the angle, but there goes Bo. And nobody catches Bo. Touchdown. Dion. Back when he started and turns the corner into Giant territory and leave it to Dion to break it open for a touchdown. What a run! Dion comes in as a receiver. Sanders. And they're going his way, but there's double coverage, and somehow Dion is able to beat the coverage. Intercepted by Sanders. Can he score again? Yep. There he goes, Deion Sanders, 71 yards. And so for Deion tonight, a 59-yard punt return for a TD, a 55-yard pass reception, a 39-yard punt return, and a 71-yard interception return.
Oh my God, I'm really sorry.
I was in the pool! I was in the pool!
Good morning. Good Friday morning to you. Welcoming on to the show, Gators and Golf with Tony Agolini. Tony, how the hell are you this morning?
Doing great, man. Happy Friday, and good to be here.
Yes, sir. We got the PGA Championship rolling. We're in round number 2. Any big surprises to you yesterday?
I think the biggest surprise to me was some of the big names not playing all that well. Between Rory at +3, Dustin Johnson +4, Justin Thomas didn't really have a great round either. So I was kind of expecting those guys to at least shoot like even par or +1, but hopefully they'll regroup today and maybe get back on track. It's, that the Keo it's an awesome course. I think it translates really well to television. There's a historic Ryder Cup from '91 that was there, and so it gets a lot of play. It's the general public can play there. It's a resort course. You just have to stay a couple nights and you get to play. I haven't done that quite yet, but I've got some friends that have, and the wind there is the great equalizer, and it's It's a little bit like it's not a total links course, but it's got enough trouble once you get outside the rough to where you can put up a big number quickly. So I think anybody who makes the cut is going to be in it on Saturday or Sunday, unless somebody goes crazy today. And I don't really see that. I think, Chris Connors came out, they made kind of a big deal of him being the leader, but he's only up by, he already bogeyed one, looks like today. So he's only up by a stroke, and the leaderboard's pretty packed. So it's going to be a fun weekend. And like I said, things can go sideways at Kiowa pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't know much about Connors. Is he just a kind of a one-hit wonder at this point until he can prove it this weekend?
He's the top 3 on great Canadian golfers of all time right now, right behind
what does that mean?
Mike Weir, who once won the Masters, and I think the list ends after that. So
Jay Fox.
Yeah, so that's about it. So I don't know if Gretzky counts, but anyway, but yeah, I mean, you saw, Koepka had a great round yesterday. I think he's healthy again. He said earlier this week that he really just played in the Masters to kind of prove to himself that he's somewhat back health wise. So I think he'll have another good round today. Sam Horsfield, who's since we mentioned Koepka, an FSU kid. Sam Horsfield's a kid that played for Florida. He's been on the Euro Tour. He's played well lately. He had a couple, I think he had a win or two a couple months ago, and he's been like a consistent top 10 guy over there this year. Mickelson -2. Of course, he had a nice round last Thursday and then crapped the bed the rest of the week. But yeah, a lot of the big names are still within striking distance. So today's a big day. I think the winds will shift. One thing about Kiowa, like usually like TPC, the winds are what they are. Like they'll just pick up as the day goes, but they're always the same direction. Where Kiowa is located, they tend to switch directions around noon or 1 o'clock. So you'll play the front 9, the wind's in your face. You'll play the back 9, the wind's at your back, and then everything will kind of switch for the afternoon group. So like I said, the course kind of toughens things up wind wise, and they don't have it overly unplayable. Like it's not the US Open where it's like, 6-inch rough. Like if you hit it in the rough at Kiowa, you're okay. It's when you go outside of that and you're in, the sand dunes and there's not a lot of grass. The bunkers are different. So just keep the ball in the fairway and in the rough and hit greens. You're okay.
I was pleasantly surprised by Koepka with him coming off that injury. I just didn't think that I didn't have a lot of hope for him. The fact that he is 3 under right now makes my weekend more exciting because being a Koepka fan, I'm much more interested in it when he is actually in it. I could say the same for Lefty, but how do I say this the nicest way? He's so damn old. He's going to have to prove it to me that he's still in it till Sunday. Right.
Yeah. He's still capable. It's just
he is
4 rounds,
but he's also capable to go out and like hit 5-6 over par today and be out of it by 6 o'clock this afternoon. You'll be like, well, typical lefty. And I hate saying that because it's not like that's indicative of his entire career, but over the last decade, he's been really hit or miss. He's either in it or more so now he's out of it by the weekend.
Yeah. And back to Koepka, and I like Koepka too. Like I root for him. I think he's great. I think he's a good villain. And he's not really a villain. I think the media kind of makes him out to be, just because like golf needs somebody that's not a robot. And you see DeChambeau and Koepka kind of in that category. Koepka started.
Is he your Tim Tebow? Is he your Tim Tebow? Is he like, I want to hate him, but damn it, I like him because I want to hate him because he played at Florida State, but I kind of like him. Because that's who Tim Tebow is to me. I want to hate Tebow, but I really like the guy as a person.
It's funny with Koepka because I've heard a couple of podcasts that he's on from a couple years ago, and he played at FSU. He's not a guy. He's a little bit maybe like me at how I am with UCF. Like I went to school there, but I never really fell in love with it. It wasn't my first choice, obviously. Koepka is a little bit like that because Koepka had an opportunity to play at a couple other places and for whatever reason didn't. And he's not like Joe FSU. Like he's not like Horschel where, and I don't really care for Horschel all that much. He's not like Horschel where like he drains a big putt and like, does the chomp or, that kind of thing. Koepka just kind of goes about his business. So I like him anyway. I think he's a fun golfer. I think he's a guy that's like, if he wasn't playing golf, he'd be good at something else. He's got other things. He's out traveling with his girlfriend or fiance or wife or whatever she is now. And he just, look at him. Like you can tell he hasn't been able to train for like the last like 5 or 6 months because he looks like he just got married and put on like 15 pounds, like if you watch him. So I think he's getting closer to being like, Joe Weekend golfer. It's just he's really, really good at it. But his personality is good too. He's good in interviews. He's like I said, his game's fun to watch. He started yesterday with a double bogey. He ended up in a fairway bunker and hit his next shot right into the side of it and ended up back where he was. And so that was a really good recovery for him because he probably could have shot even a little bit lower yesterday. But yeah, I'm rooting for him. I hope he wins it. Him, Rory, Spieth, all those guys. Spieth, I think I forgot what he shot yesterday. I think he's like maybe 1 over or even or something like that. But he didn't.
Last thing I checked, he was 1 over. I felt like that there was a long delay to get the course going. Guys that were supposed to hit at certain times weren't hitting. Did that have anything to do with weather or anything, or were they just playing slow?
I think for this first round or two, I think it's a slow play course because, I mean, there hasn't been a PGA championship here. I think it was 2012. I think it was when Rory went nuts and a lot of the guys that are in this tournament, they weren't in it then. I mean, that's a long time in the golf world, especially these days, because you can get super hot in your early 20s and then kind of disappear, or there's so many young golfers like Victor Hovland and Horsfield and even Koepka. Koepka wasn't playing back when it was last in Kiowa. So I think these first 2 rounds are taking longer. I think you've seen, especially, I mean, Koepka's group is like Koepka, Rory, and Justin Thomas. Koepka was stuck in that bunker forever, and then Rory had to take a drop on his first tee shot. So it's not a course that plays quickly. That's for sure. It's not Southampton like we have in Jacksonville where people are flying through. There's a lot to figure out the first couple of days, even if you've played the practice rounds.
Well, like yesterday morning during the show, and our show typically on the sorry, it's distracting. Volume came on one of my TVs. Typically our show goes 8:30 to 9:30 now, and on Fridays we go 8 to 9:30. So we came on, and guys that were already supposed to tee off, I'm pulling it up on ESPN or on the on the Plus, and they're still on the range warming up, and I was like, what in the hell is going on? But there wasn't a cloud in the sky, so I was a little confused by that. But
yeah, I just think they got backed up yesterday. Justin Thomas said it the other day in his presser. He's like, this is a course where it's pace of play is going to be slower, and for some of the groups, especially these guys that microanalyze everything. Like you've got your, Koepka's pretty good. He'll just kind of go up and hit it, and I'm freezing on his name now. Brett Snedeker, he's a super fast player.
By the way, Spieth is 1 over. I just checked.
Yeah. So the other thing too with this PGA, it's the biggest field of all the majors. There's God knows how many guys that qualify that are PGA pros.
So that's why this one, as opposed to other majors, because typically you don't start off on the 10th.
Right.
You just go in order. So is that why they were starting off on the 10th, is because the field?
Yeah, it's a huge field. And it's this is one too where it's, the Masters, they always start at 1, obviously, unless there's weather issues, but it's always at a different course. So, I think the biggest thing with I forgot where I was headed with that. With pace of play, I think too, it's hard for these guys. Like I said, they haven't played this course in forever. That's why I picked Justin Johnson. Like, he's from South Carolina, and he played this course a lot over the last 20 years or so. And then of course he goes out and shoots like +3, +4. But yeah, none of these caddies, none of these guys are all that familiar with this course. But the biggest field, I know where I was headed. One of the coolest things is this does include all the past champions, just like the Masters. So, John Daly, who actually played pretty well on the Champions Tour a couple weeks ago, he's like +14 or whatever the heck he did. But you see random names like Y.E. Yang beat Tiger to win the PGA years and years ago. He's in the field. Rich Beam came out of nowhere to win it in the late 90s. He's in the field. So you do see some kind of cool names, but it's such a packed tournament. You've got Joe Schmo that qualified out of BFE Arizona as a PGA pro. He's in this tournament just like Rory McIlroy is. So I think that's part of the backup too. You get guys that are going to shoot high because they're not built for this stage.
All right. Well, moving on from real quick, what was your win, place, and show?
Dustin Johnson, who didn't play well, Tommy Fleetwood, who really didn't play well, and then Zalatoris, who's a kind of an up and comer. He's played really well the last month or two. I think he's like 6'2", $120. But he
Yeah,
can
he
kill
bit
it.
me
He had
in
a
the
nice,
ass yesterday.
nice eagle yesterday.
Bit me in the ass with that
He's
eagle.
going to win a major eventually. Might not be this weekend, but I was trying not to pick the usual suspects. I'm definitely, if Rory or Spieth wins, for Spieth, he completes the career Grand Slam with a win. And, Rory defends his PGA from back in the day. So I'm rooting for either one of those two. If Koepka wins, that'd be great too. So just give me a good, give me somebody that's won a major before. I don't like the PGA when it's a one-off. Justin Thomas could use a second major. He'd be a good story too.
All right, moving on from that, real quick, Tebow coming to Jacksonville. You told me yesterday via text what it means is it's a circus. So I think you might have a different perspective as a Gator fan, not wanting it to turn into a zoo, and also not wanting Tebow to look like a clown, right? I don't mind it because, to me, first of all, it takes a lot of limelight off of the Trevor Lawrence coming in, the golden boy, right? So much of the media is going to be focused on Tebow trying to make the team that it's going to become a secondary story locally. Do I think he's going to make the team? No. Do I think he could make maybe the practice squad because he could bring them so many different things he could do during a practice week? He can play, what do they call it? Not ghost quarterback, but my mind's slipping me here. Where basically he can emulate a quarterback in practice, the opposing quarterback. I forget what they call that, but
he'll make a good Tom Brady when they.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking more of obviously not with the accuracy, but he could emulate a quarterback who runs during practice, right? And I also believe he's got to be a good teammate, and I also believe that it's got to be good for the fan base, which, let's be honest, most Jaguar fans on Sunday are Gator fans on Saturday. I just think it's good for the they are overreacting on ESPN like Urban Meyer's done the most ridiculous thing anyone's ever done. The guy's 30, the guy's going to be 34 years old this year. If he doesn't make the team, whoopity do. He's one of 6 tight ends on the roster. If he sucks in practice, they're not out anything. They're just going to start. They're going to grab the other 3 and let's go. Yeah. What say you?
Yeah, it's funny. A friend of mine was saying if it was the bartender at your local establishment trying out for tight end and this is what happened, everybody'd be rooting for it. But since it's somebody who's been in the limelight already and has a famous last name, it's different. I can see. I think there's some positives and negatives to it. I mean, and this is the thing too. You're right. There's, like you said, there's 4 or 6 tight ends in the tight end room. They just drafted one. I've always said the last thing they need to do this year is spend a bunch of money to go get the tight end from Philly or something like that. This isn't a team that is just missing a tight end and that's keeping them from the Super Bowl. If that was the case, then go out and blow a bunch of money. What's funny is Tebow is also the smallest tight end in that room, I think. I mean, he stood next to the kid from Ohio State that the Jags just drafted, and you would have thought Tebow was the punter standing next to the guy from Ohio State.
I mean, he's not a big guy per se compared to the NFL because most tight ends are 6'6", and Tebow. Yeah. What is Tebow, 6'1", 6'2", maybe?
Yeah, 6'2", and and I mean, Mercedes Lewis played for the Jags for 15 years. He's 6'8" or something stupid.
Yeah, and we all know old age shrinks you, so he might be 5'10" by now.
Smaller.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's
I mean, any publicity. That's the old saying. Any publicity is good publicity, I guess. So
I think if he were to actually make the roster, what he would be is an H-back, not a tight end. They wouldn't use him in tight end formation.
Like a white jack.
Kind of, yeah, but I'm thinking more of someone who is going to be involved in a lot of gimmick plays. In other words, he sets up in the H-back and they're faking a handoff to the tailback and they hand it to Tebow to slam up the middle for a couple of yards. He'd be in there to quarterback sneak, right? So you don't get the golden boy hurt.
Exactly.
It's going to be stuff like that. For people to think, oh, this is ridiculous. You're not drafting him on your fantasy team, idiots. Just move on, okay? Right. He's not going to become some guy's going to go out there and get 1,200 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns and change the sport. So that's what's being
Right.
lost. Your third tight end on your team is usually terrible anyways. What the hell? I mean, what are we talking about? I think he's getting cancel cultured by ESPN because anything that has to do with Christianity, they're just going to trash it, right? And they're worried about him coming out there and kneeling and all that stuff. And we know that we all know that rabbit hole that ESPN goes down. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. But
yeah, he's not there to, help chip and, block, the best defensive ends in the NFL. Like, he's not there for that. Like you said, he's in for the concussion plays like he was at Florida, where, it's third and 2 feet and you just got to get the first down. You're not shoving Lawrence, plowing him up the middle when you got, wrecking ball Tim Tebow on the sideline. So like I said, this team's a, 6-11, 5-12 kind of team next year. And hey, I'm all for it. Like, it's going to take another draft or two to build this thing into, like, if they want to be a long-term winner and not go to the AFC Championship game once every 15 years. So, hey, if they go 5-12, 6-11, and my math gets all screwed up because they threw in that extra game. I'm so used to saying, 5-11, 6-10. If they do that, that's fine. And if Tebow happens to be on the roster for that, so be it, because it's not going to make them win 12, 13.
They're going to sell jerseys if he's on the damn roster, and this is a business. I mean, come on, seriously.
So, like
People
I said, if he makes the team, so be it.
All right, college baseball. We can sit here and rattle on about that all day long.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're filibustering for the next topic or not, but anyways, college baseball, the Gators are playing the number 1 team in the country. So they started play last night, correct?
Yeah, every SEC
Arkansas
series started last night. I think ACC started last night too. They just want everybody done. So Sunday is kind of recovery day, and then all the conference tournaments start next week.
Yeah, I saw you posting that they lost.
Yeah, actually, wasn't a bad game last night. It was Florida took the lead, and Callie Lau had a home run. Most of the runs actually came on home runs. Kid for Arkansas kind of blew it open in the bottom of the 8th with a 3-run home run. But a pretty good game. Packed house at Arkansas, 11,000 people. That stadium is, I think, maybe the biggest in the SEC, and it was hopping last night. But
so Florida's series will be tonight and tomorrow night, correct?
Yeah, tonight, and then Saturday's game I think might be
afternoon.
I think it's in the evening or the afternoon. But you'll see Barco pitch tonight. He's pitched really well lately for us. So Arkansas's got a great closer. Copps, he's maybe the best. So the top 3 pitchers in the SEC are Leiter, Rocker, and then Copps, who's the only one out of that group who's a reliever. Their starter last night, we struck out way too many times. I think we had like 15 strikeouts and just a tough.
If you avoid the sweep, is that good enough for this series, or are you really, in your heart of hearts, thinking that if they don't win the series, that it's a bit of a letdown?
Oh, I just wanted before the weekend. I just wanted us to steal one. Like, if we could somehow win the series, that'd be great. That would be Arkansas's first series loss of the season. Like I said, they've dominated just about everybody they played. I don't think they had to play Vanderbilt this year, just like we didn't have to play LSU.
That should be a hell of a showdown.
The timing of it stinks, because this was built for TV. Like, they put this now because they were thinking Florida's going to be, top 3 or so, and Arkansas top 3, and play each other the last week of the season. So we kind of get screwed. I mean, we got to play Arkansas sometime, but Vanderbilt gets to play Kentucky, and then, Tennessee's playing South Carolina, who has faded the last month. So just kind of tough timing for us. We got to play the number 1 team in the country, but we had to do it at some point in time.
So the SEC tournament starts Tuesday, Wednesday?
It starts Tuesday, and then Tuesday playing games. 12 out of the 14 make it. There's some battles to see who will actually qualify. Auburn, Missouri, there's a chance LSU might not get in. It all just kind of depends on what happens the next 2 days. I think Florida's going to get stuck playing Wednesday. I think Tennessee's going to end up getting the bye. The top 2 teams in both divisions get byes. It'll be kind of chaotic next week, but I think they're doing 100% capacity in Hoover. So at least people are getting to go. And the NCAA announced the regionals will be allowed to have 100% capacity as long as the state that they're being held in allows it. So if Florida is going to host, then they'll have a full house. Remember, there's 20 host sites, but only 16 will actually be awarded. So it's not a done deal. Like Charlotte, UNC Charlotte got awarded a regional, and they've lost every game since. So they might be on the list of teams that actually lose the regional that they might get.
Yeah, the ACC is in the same boat. They're only allowing 12 teams in, so there's a couple of teams that are kind of maneuvering. But I never really pay attention to it because there's not much of a chance that the number 12 team is going to go out there and just rock and roll through the ACC conference unless every team is like, you know what, we're going to rest our guy because we're ready for the tournament. Real quick, the women's softball tournament is actually starting today for people who aren't paying attention. I had an interesting conversation. I kind of let it go because I knew where this Karen was going with this. She was complaining that the Florida State women's softball game wasn't on the ACC network. They play 4:30 today. They are on the Plus, by the way, and they're playing. I just had it. It's like a Gardner Webb or something. I forget what team it is. It's not a big name team. It's the first round of the first game of the tournament. And so when she was complaining, I thought she just didn't realize that it was on ESPN Plus. I said, it's on the Plus. She said, yes, but they're showing 2 men's regular season baseball games. I'm like, it doesn't get the views that the men's do, but I wasn't going to get into that with her because I'm like, it's too late in the night to get into an argument on Twitter over women's lib matters through, ESPN Plus. Right. But anyways, the point of the whole thing is the men are trying to position themselves because those are the games that the ACC has on at 3:00 and 6:00 today are the ones that are still trying to position themselves. In the women's women's softball tournament, you'll be able to see, I think, damn near every game on the Plus. So if you're into it, which I get into it, you can watch it on the Plus, pay your $5 a month and shut the hell up about it is kind of my point. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, I think Florida Baylor's on ESPNU at 2, and Florida USF is on ESPN at 2, but then the other part of that regional Baylor, South Alabama, it's like what you said, it's on ESPN Plus. So they're trying to find some kind of rotation of the games, I guess. But yeah, it's still college baseball's world this weekend. Every Super will be on TV next weekend for softball. But
by the way, there is a Duke softball game on at noon, so it's not like they're totally ignoring the tournament. She was trashing the ACC network. Like I was like, they've got to pick and choose their battles because I told her, this is terrible timing is what it is. You've got the men's coming down to the wire. You've got the women's softball starting. Oh, and by the way, the golf championships are going on, and the ACC is trying to squeeze that in because Florida State's in the national championship tournament for that once again. I think it's like 5 years in a row for the women. And like
they blew away everybody that was in their group. They played that Seminole Legacy course over in Tallahassee and finished in first. We got in by the skin of our teeth. Everybody heads out to Arizona. I think it's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, they've got like an hour of the tournament on, and I think that might be a replay. I think it might be condensed is what they're showing today. Yeah. But anyways, we're coming to the end of it. What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
Just excited, man. This weekend's going to be great, man. Lots of golf, obviously, some college baseball, maybe a little softball, and some good weather, so we'll enjoy it.
Real quick, now that it's reset, who's your winner on the weekend?
Based on yesterday, I mean, it's Koepka could run away with this thing if he gets hot, but I think Saturday's the big day as far as you've made the cut.
Give me one name that you're feeling.
Make a move, but I'm not feeling any of the guys I picked except for Zalatoris, and he's probably the biggest long
shot. Pick a new guy and say, this is the guy I feel after watching the first round.
Zalatoris.
All right, I like it. He pissed me off yesterday because he outscored Spieth, and I bet on that. But I was like I said, there's like 6 guys I saw you mention Zalatoris in the mentions. I was like, our golf guy is saying that Zalatoris is good. This isn't going to turn out well for me. And sure enough,
he's really good. And the other guy I keep an eye on, Victor Hovland. He's going to win a major eventually, and it might be this weekend.
Well, then that's good intel because I think he's up on the draft board too today. So. All right, brother. We'll see you next Friday, and enjoy the weekend.
Sounds good, man. You too. Take care.
me and the Lord, we got an understanding. We're on a mission from God.
Make contact. A collective psychosis is sweeping the nation. We're in the thick of the haze craze, and Elysian is introducing an altered state of IPA. Contact Haze is a tangled chemistry of mild haze, low bitterness, and an explosion of hop aroma. This hazy IPA bursts with notes of bright raspberry, currant, citrus, guava, and passion.